Tonight I'll be responding to Brady Jeffries and his claim that the abundance of modern technology is creating an antisocial society. And he cites these three claims. His first claim is that gaming systems are keeping us secluded indoors and away from others. Second claim, that smartphones are grabbing our attention more than what is right in front of us. And his third claim is that marriage rates are dropping and we are unable to form lasting relationships. So my response to his claim is that because of the advent of technology and the abundance of new emerging platforms, people are able to be more social than ever. And I'll do this by responding to his first claim that gaming systems are keeping us secluded indoors away from others. It's true, a lot of people play video games on systems and a lot of them get bad rep for being secluded and antisocial, but gamers and gaming systems alike are creating a new type of social platform called online gaming. A study by Spill Games, 2013, on the gaming industry states that 1.2 billion people are playing video games, and 700 million of those are playing online games. It is because of this online community, technology is able to create venues and platforms of social interactions like never before. In his speech, Brady states how video games now require a lot more time and commitment to play, which is absolutely true. But the video game industry is now moving towards a more social platform, that is your phones. This is because people would rather not stay indoors playing on their PCs or PlayStations and would rather much play on their phones outside with bite-sized gaming with friends and other people, like the really popular game Clash of Clans, which I'm sure many of you have played. In this generation of consoles since 2013, we've sold 67.6 million consoles over the past 3 years, and these are sales figures from Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. And for comparison, in the last generation, since 2005, in the same amount of time over the past 3 years, we've sold over 100 million systems, with lifetime figures of 260 million for the same three companies. This isn't because gaming is dying. In fact, the industry is at its biggest and still growing, but it's clear that people are straying away from the classic indoor system and time sinks, and they're moving over to more bite-sized and social platforms such as phones, tablets, and short sessions of online gaming. And on the flip side, with the advent of online gaming and new social genres of gaming, we now have things like esports, where people are coming together in these communities and forming fan bases that are coming out to watch their favorite teams. For example, a ESPN statistics, in 2013, the League of Legends Championship sold out in Staples Center, and then shortly after sold out the 40,000-seat World Cup Stadium in South Korea. Gaming these days aren't keeping us indoors, they're keeping a lot of us connected in new ways like never before. Now for Brady's second and third claim, I'm going to combine them and tackle them straight on. It states that phones are grabbing our attention more than what is right in front of us, and because of technology, marriage rates are dropping, and we are unable to form lasting relationships. First, I want to say that his claims are completely true. But technology is not the one to be blamed for this. Smartphones are everywhere, and it's a product of the way we live now. A lot of people now work not in an office or building, but they work on the go. For example, like IT professionals, professors, engineers, Uber drivers, bloggers, small list of examples, all rely on their smartphones in order to survive in our world. And although phones are a form of distraction, this applies to a lot of technologies. They allow us to communicate and socialize in ways we couldn't before. Just like all good things in life, like oil, trees, and our environment, and now technology as well, we always have a tendency to abuse or misuse it. And then we blame whatever it is that we use for all of our problems, like how we blame oil and its factories for polluting our earth. It's easy to put the cause of our antisocial tendencies on technology, but technology isn't the cause for this. It's the way we choose to misuse technology as a replacement for conversations and outdoor activities that makes us an antisocial society. The abundance of technology exists to enrich our lives and social lives. It's not meant as a replacement of those things. There are webcams that allow families overseas to talk and socialize with others during Christmas. There are gaming systems like our phones and our PCs that allow communities to form and play and socialize with their peers. And maybe in a couple hundred years from now, when mankind is able to colonize planets like Mars, our abundance of technology might be the only thing that will allow us to socialize in the future. Thank you.
All right, the structure's laid out. That's pretty good. The first point you spent a lot of time on these online communities. I think some demonstration that the online communities do in fact provide some sort of socialization would be beneficial. The fact that you got 700 million people playing with each other online doesn't necessarily mean that they are socializing in any way, or that that socialization is productive or useful the way it might be with other forms of communication. So I think you've got an interesting idea here, and you've got a couple of good illustrations talking about how people have shifted a little bit to more mobile forms of this activity that's unlikely to keep them trapped in the house, so they're not playing their video games sitting in front of their console for 10 hours a day, but they're doing little bite-sized bits of play in other contexts. I think that that's a reasonable argument to make, except that I think you need some data to support it. The only data that you have is the fact that they have fewer consoles that they've been selling, but the number of gamers has actually been increasing. I think it's a reasonable inference to make there, but where's some data about those kinds of games that fit that bite-sized kind of play that you're talking about? I assume that the esports that you mentioned and like the League of Legends thing, that sounds like it's pretty complicated. It doesn't sound like it's one of those bite-sized kinds of things that you're talking about. So maybe that's a little bit contradictory at that particular point. The grouping of the second and the third points together is okay, except that you basically say, well, they're true. I think there's a good argument here about causality. What is the cause on this particular issue? You say it's basically not the technology, but it's people blaming technology for their own faults. That's a reasonable point. Is there any evidence, though, that suggests that it's the technology has had the beneficial impact that you're talking about on that first point? It's the first thing that popped into my mind is every time I turn on the TV, people want me to go on some website and find somebody else to marry. Like, it sounds to me like there's a lot of technology out there that's designed to do. Where are you? Here's there you go. It's like eHarmony has got more marriages, and geez, farmers only. We can match up all the farmers with each other, and that's going to be. I don't have to be lonely, that kind of stuff. That sounds to me like it's kind of counterintuitive to the point that the advocate was talking about, and it fits right in with the argument that you should be making, but I don't get any data on this. You basically, and by the way, I'm not sure that the number of marriages is going down. I mean, you say it's true. The advocate said it's true. I don't know. I don't remember what evidence was presented on that. There might be some challenges on that. I swear I've gone to more weddings in the last year, than I can remember going to in the last 5 years. So maybe. That's probably not good evidence to reason from. That's pretty a unique situation, but that's the thing I'm sitting here with, and that's why I would like to have some other data on this particular point. But I think you've got a valid idea here that says, look, people tend to take technology and blame it for whatever problems that are existing. What you need are some examples of that. Your example about oil and being blamed for, I think there is a clear relationship there, but can we solve those problems? Yeah, there might be a better example. Television, for instance, or other kinds of technology that supposedly were going to destroy us and make it. Comic books were going to turn us all into evil people at one point, and everybody in the 50s was worried about that. And television was going to turn us into slugs, and that hasn't really happened. And people think that the technology is going to turn us into like Wall-E people, we're all going to be big blobs that are floating around on stuff. And I think that there's a good reason to believe that kind of stuff isn't real, and there are other maybe analogies that you could be drawing on those points. All right, thank you.